بعد اللهم اجعل اجتماعنا هذا اجتماعا مرحوما وتفرقنا من بعده تفرقا معصوما ولا تجعل بيننا شقيا ولا محروما برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. Precious words, aren't they? Sometimes, as a human nature, when we repeat something over and over again, we forget the preciousness of it. And because Surah Al-Fatiha is repeated at every single prayer of the Faridah and the Sunnah, every single day it becomes running on your tongue without shaking a hair over your head. And that's the lack of faith and iman and yaqeen and sakeen and tranquility and whatever you want to call it. And that's the source where the iman is seeping out of your heart and probably out of the ummah. There is no way to connect to Allah better than Surah Al-Fatiha. No way. And to go back to the roots of it, I've mentioned probably in the past the story of Dumada ibn Tha'labah, for those who used to pray in the other part of the city. Dumada ibn Tha'labah was someone who deals with the jinn. He goes to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and he says, Ya Muhammad, inni sami'tu anna bika jinnan fa'ataytu li'urqik. I heard that jinn has touched you and you're crazy and I want to give you ruqyah. فقال يا ضمادة أتسمع مني? Would you hear from me? فقال نعم أعطني ما عندك. Give me what you have. Dumada is not afraid. A man who deals every day with jinn. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam starts saying words that you probably hear every single Friday. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فهو المهتدي ومن تجد له وليا مرشدا. Does that shake anything in you? Huh, brother? Nothing, right? Dumada was blown away. And he said, حسبك. Right. Repeat again. Rasulullah repeated. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ. Dumada is listening and he's shaking. قال أعد. Can you one more time repeat it? Rasulullah repeated again. إن الحمد لله نحمده. Rasulullah finished for the third time. Dumada gave his hand to Rasulullah and he said, هبني يدك وبايعك أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأنك رسول الله. Dumada is coming from the people of Tha'labah. Rasulullah told him, وَقَوْمُكَ يَا Dumada. What about your people? قال قومي علي يا رسول الله. Don't worry, just give me your hand. Accepted Islam because of an introduction that you hear every single Friday, and probably it's so boring. The most boring part of the khutbah is that part that turned Dumada to Islam. And probably the most important piece in your life is Surah Al-Fatiha, that you recite it every salah and you're not giving it the proper attention. During the last week we have covered probably the first 4 verses. We stopped at Ihdina as-Sirat al-Mustaqim. As-Sirat al-Mustaqim is the path of balance, is the path of peace, tranquility and guidance. But then Allah defines this path and He says, صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. It is the path of those whom you have blessed. And when you read أنعمت عليهم, you have to ask yourself, who are those? Allah defined them in Surah An-Nisa and He said, أولئك الذين أنعم الله عليهم من النبيين والصديقين والشهداء والصالحين وحسن أولئك رفيقا. Those are the prophets and the truthful and the martyrs and the righteous ones. 4 definitions. But again, who are they? You have to go back to every prophet who's included in that description and study his life and the path that he took, and you take it and you imitate it in order for this dua to be accepted. But if you're imitating Drake and Lil Baby and Lil Wayne and Eminem and all of these rappers and singers and basketball players and celebrities, you are far away from صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. So maybe we need to take a step back and look deeply into the life of those people. I will be spending the rest of my staying among you just living with those people. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم, about the life, about their connection and their relationship with their families, about their patience, about their akhlaq, their manners, their ethics, but more importantly, about their da'wah to Allah. And I thought today to highlight the mentality that they used in order to invite people to Allah, and how Allah used them for the greatest job in a man's life. When I say a man's life, a man/a woman's life, any slave of Allah. Because we're speaking here about those who believe in Maliki Yawmiddin, in Rabbil Alameen. You already passed that. And you would notice that the prophets, peace be upon them, all of them were chosen and sent after the age of 40. All of them. ما من نبي إلا بعث على الأربعين, except Isa ibn Maryam. Good. We mostly tend to study the seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam after the age of 30 and until he died, which is 23 years. If you open Ibn Kathir, Ibn Hisham, Al-Rahiq Al-Makhtoum, Al-Mubarak Furi, it all studies that part. But then hold on. What about the 40 years? Same thing applies to Musa. Same thing applies to Noah. Aha. That 40 years is probably as important as the 23 years. Because you need that 40 to build the path of as-sirat al-mustaqim. Allah could have chosen Rasulullah from the age of 20. Let's use the flesh of his life. As he gets to 20, Ya Muhammad, iqra'. But no. You need to build as-sirat. It takes time. It's a path. الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمْتَ عَلَيْهِمْ. And you would notice that all the prophets, peace be upon them, had the mentality of businessmen. Businessmen. How many businessmen we have here? Hands up. I will need your help in this lecture, inshallah. 0 businessmen? Raise your hands, don't be shy, please. A businessman shall never be shy. How many employees here? MashaAllah. So this lecture is very important to you. يقول العلماء على كل عارف بالله أن يكون له حظ من التجارة. Everyone who needs to strengthen his knowledge and connection with Allah, he needs to get his hand dirty with tijara, with trading, with business. You have to. Why? Because it establishes the foundation of yaqeen, tawakkul. When you're an employee, it's guaranteed. You know that your paycheck is coming in 2 weeks. And if your employer refuses, you can go to the government, sue him, take him down and take your money. MashaAllah. You got other sources. Of course, it's all coming from Allah, but you're relying on other sources. You have to be nice to your employer. Show him your commitment every day. You punch in at 7, you punch out at 5. You're being a good boy. Huh? That's what you do to make your living. But a businessman doesn't have that. A businessman needs to wake up at night and say, Ya Rabb. He has such a unique connection with the name of Allah, Ar-Razzaq. Every day he's in a new battle. Not just that, he provides to others as well. Now the interesting part, that all the prophets, peace be upon them, were businessmen. We know for a fact When Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, مَا مِن نَبِيٍّ إِلَّا وَرَعَ الْغَنَمِ. Every single prophet was a shepherd. That's another issue. وسألوه حتى أنت يا رسول الله قال وأنا كنت أرعى الغنم على قراريط من أهل مكة. I used to take care of the sheep for pennies that the people of Mecca would give me. But also he worked as a salesman. He worked as a trader, as a businessman, taking the goods of Khadija radiyallahu anha, traveling all the way to Rome and coming back to Mecca. Zakaria كان خياطا. داود عليه السلام كان حدادا, was a smith. نوح عليه السلام كان نجارا. إبراهيم كان بناء, construction builder. If you can call it, Ibrahim was a real estate agent. Every one of them had his own track of business that connects him. And if you look at the Imams, Al-A'immatul Arba'ah, everyone had his own production line along with his da'wah. And this is how they strengthen the connection. So starting from today, you have to build that. Maybe start with a little stock. You buy it and sell it in Amazon. Some dates, you bring it from Morocco, from Saudi, stand in front of the masjid. You start build that nature. And today, I would like to just highlight over that part of the Prophet's life, صِرَاطَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمْتَ عَلَيْهِمْ, and the mentality that they have in da'wah. How to apply the business skills. Here, there, 40 years of being a business, roughly, Rasulullah successfully applied it in his da'wah. And I would come and assume and make the claim that one of the key successes of how Rasulullah was a successful messenger, because he was a successful businessman. And Khadija loved him, liked him, she admired him because of his skills. This man, out of the many men that she dealt with, he comes with a double profit. A double profit. He takes the goods of Mecca. He goes to Rome. On the way to Rome, he sells what he has. He arrives to Rome, he buys with the money that he gained on his journey another spoil and goods. And he comes to Mecca and sells it and brings the double profit to Khadija radiyallahu anha. What are the skills that a businessman have? And you can apply it as a da'iyah. Those skills are important for the students, for individuals, for imams, and for all of us as Calgarians who are living in Calgary and meeting non-Muslims every single day. You have to speak to them with a mentality of da'iyah. First of all, you have to understand the needs of your customers and the fears that they have. There's always a fear that your customer will come and give you money, but he might not receive the quality that is expected. So when you sell something, you need to play on that little corner in his heart that I got you. That iPhone, since I bought him, did not break down, not even once. And it's a guaranteed. They give you a guarantee for 2 years. Okay, that's good. So if it broke down, if the screen is down, if the camera is off, if anything happens to the motherboard, I will give it to them and they will give me a new one. This way, they secured fear in my heart. Another thing, the need. When you build the connection with your customers, you have to build the need. If they don't need you, if I already have an iPhone that serves my needs, I would never look at Samsung unless they have something else that I need. But camera is the same now. We're going to wage a war between the Samsung wars and the iPhone wars. It's just examples, brothers. Don't get too excited. But the need. And you would find Allah in Quran is making that. You would find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فلا ابتغوا عند الله الرزق واعبدوه واشكروا له. You're always afraid from tomorrow and the rizq, and Allah is telling you, وما من دابة إلا على الله رزقها إن الله يبسط الرزق لمن يشاء ويقدر. Hey, why are you afraid? If Allah, ألا إن لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض إن الله يمسك السماوات والأرض أنت. If Allah holding the heavens not to fall, Do you think He will forget your rizq? Well, He will allow stress to fall upon you and smash you? يمسك السماء الله أكبر ويرزق يا بني إن تكن مثقال حبة من خردل فتكن في صخرة أو في السماوات أو في الأرض يأتي بها الله. Allah is playing on that fear that you have in your heart. I got you. You're afraid from death. Well, guess what's happened after death? You want eternity? I got you. This is why there is Jannah. Third of the Quran is speaking about hellfire and paradise. Why? Why do you think Allah repeats again and again جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها أبدا جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار فيها أنهار من عسل مصفى وأنهار من لبن لم يتغير طعمه حور عين كأمثال اللؤلؤ المكنون وفواكه مما يشتهون ولحم طير. Allah, at every single place Allah is speaking to you about Jannah. Why? Because He's applying that rule of need. If you need peace, if you need rida, if you need a woman, if you need pleasure, if you need satisfaction, if you need wealth and money, He has it. Just follow the path. Rasulullah ﷺ used to apply that. And when I'm looking at the seerah, I saw it at many places. When He approaches people, He speaks to them with their own tongue and their own need. Take an example. When He was running away from Mecca to Al-Madinah, and who was running after Him? Who is the one and only man who found Him? Suraqah ibn Malik. Suraqah comes near Him, sees Him on a distance. But the horse foot is dragged, is buried in the sand. فيقول أطلقني يا محمد. Oh Muhammad, ask your Lord to set me free and I will leave you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes a dua. Allahumma atliqh. Allah set him free. The horse comes back again in the surface. Suraqah goes closer to them. He wants to take them down. What is Quraysh offering? 1,000 camels. ولا 100 من الإبل لمن يجد محمد حيا أو ميتا. Anyone finds Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam alive or dead, 100 camels. That's the need of Suraqah. He comes close and then Rasulullah says, this man is not going back. And then he gives him that line that was stuck in the head of Suraqah until the days of Umar ibn al-Khattab. ويقول يا سراقة ألا يسرك أو قال ما بالك وأنت تلبس سوار كسرى وقيصر. What do you think? How would you feel if I gave you the promise today and they know that this man Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is a Sadiq al-Amin? 40 years he built reputation. Reputation is very important to have as a businessman. You can't have the reputation of a gangster, of a liar, of a cheater, of a drug dealer, and you promote. People is not going to trust your reputation. You're going to build it first. 40 years Rasulullah spent building a Sadiq al-Amin. And he told Suraqah, what do you think if you would be wearing the golds of Kisra? Suraqah couldn't believe it. He said, Kisra Rome. Are you talking about the same one in the Roman Empire? قال كسرى الروم. قال إذن هو ذاك يا محمد. Take the deal. Suraqah, not just he went back, he even accepted Islam. But just play on the need. Today, people outside, they need something. And most importantly at this time, they have a gap. I keep hearing that word again and again and again. They're looking for peace. They're looking for recognition. They're looking for tranquility. Something is missing in the life of every millionaire rather than the poor people out there who's not with Allah. Speaking even about Muslims. Muslims who always find that gap. Play on that. Some others, they want money. Wallahi, some people accepted Islam in the Southwest Masjid because of the food bank. Believe it or not. And Christians do that as well. I remember in the days of Newfoundland, they would come to our houses, knock it. Would you like to speak about Jesus? No, I'm not interested. Okay, we have pizza. Okay, I'm coming. I would go there and sit. just to eat the pizza. I'm a student, ya akhi. I don't have money to spend $10. Feels like million to me. Okay, grab me a pizza. Now, if I didn't have the foundation of Islam, they could have manipulated my head. Jesus is merciful. Jesus wants you back. And they do the preaching and take me down. I'm not telling you to go for the Mormons and just eat those. If you want pizza, inshallah, we'll offer it to you here at the masjid, bi'idhnillah. But I'm telling you how you can approach people with needs in their life. Look at the need of people around you and hit it. Khalid ibn al-Walid, and who doesn't know Khalid? Khalid, when you think of him, you think of one thing. What is it? Battle. This man doesn't have 1 + 1 = 2. He's not an engineering student. He doesn't know school. He didn't graduate from medical or engineering. He doesn't, if he is the failed person in UFC would be Khalid. Put him in the battlefield. This is why I say our ummah is full of treasures. Now, what happens in the Western society today, if Khalid was among us, Khalid, Abu Ubaidah, Umar, those people, ya akhi, they have a certain set of skills. If there were in our days, probably the therapist or psychologist would diagnose them with ADHD. They move a lot. Khalid, I don't know, I cannot sit down in a chair and just memorize Quran. Khalid in the narrations used to make mistakes in Surah Al-Ikhlas when he reads Quran. وَيَقُولُ أَشْغَلَنَا الْجِهَادُ عَنْكَ. He reads the Quran, he says, jihad took us away from you. You think he had ADHD? This is what we say when your kid is just running around, breaking the TV and running on the couch, jumping on the house and hitting his sisters and brothers. Hey, what if your son is just another poet? He got certain set of skills. He doesn't have ADHD. He doesn't have ABC, CDE, all these letters that they throw on you. He is just talented in a specific circle. Rasulullah recognized that. And when he did Umratul Qada, he met his brother, Al-Walid ibn al-Walid. And he asked him, where's Khalid? أين خالد? فقال الوليد دعك منه يا رسول الله يأتي الله به إن شاء. Allah will bring him if he wills. Don't worry about him. Rasulullah wants Khalid. Listen, you're a businessman. I want to finish this deal. What would he do? Rasulullah says, Ama wallah. He's telling Al-Walid to send a message to Khalid. And look at that message. Ama wallah. لو جعل شدته في الإسلام لكان خيرا له ولقدمناه على غيره. Khalid is afraid. Khalid حارس قبة قريش. The first, listen, the reason, I would say, Muslims, alhamdulillah, they were supported by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the battle of Badr. But believe me, Allah has put the reasons for them to win. If Khalid was in the battle of Badr, it would be a different battle. Of course, the angels were fighting in the battle of Uhud and the battle of Badr. But there is asbab. And Muslims, it's not lucky, they were protected by Allah. Well, destiny, the Abu Jahl told Khalid, we want you to stay in Mecca, don't come with us. In the battle of him. Oops. If Khalid was not there, it was a different story. So Khalid is a military leader in Quraysh. If he probably accepted Islam, he would be just a soldier. Rasulullah said no. Oh Walid, tell Khalid, if he accepts Islam, it would be better for him. And guess what happens? وَلَقَدَّمْنَاهُ عَلَى غَيْرِهِ. We will make him the first man, the leader of the army. Al-Walid ibn al-Walid delivers this message to Khalid ibn al-Walid. The 10th year, months later after this message, Khalid migrates to Islam, migrates to Al-Madinah and accepts Islam. A businessman. Look at the needs of others. And once you fulfill it, wallahi, you would find some form. The high school students who come and accept Islam, wallahi, the one and only reason that they keep repeating again and again, that we found those group of Muslims every single Friday, they come together, they go pray. I don't have that as a Christian or an atheist student. A group of friends who would never ditch you. always connected to you. Connection. People look for that. Recognition. I want to be part of a group. I don't have a group. Okay, we got you. Aha. Allahu Akbar. The first one, look for the needs and the fears of others. The second one, a businessman or business is a mindset. It's not 8 to 5. 8 to 5 employees. And then after 5, he turns off his phone. No. That's not the lifestyle of a da'iyah. And as a result, it's not a lifestyle of a businessman. As an employee, you work for a certain time and then you spend time with family, friends, joy, entertainment. Rasulullah, as a businessman, he knows that in order to get something done, you need to give it days and nights. 24/7. A businessman doesn't have time off. A phone rings 12 a.m., he picks it up. Problem solving. Whatever and whoever is calling, that's my business. I need to always keep a track of it. This is why we say, when Rasulullah says, تِسْعَةُ أَعْشَارِ الرِّزْقِ فِي التِّجَارَةِ 9 out of 10th of the rizq in this dunya in tijara. But also 9/10 of headache, stress, worrying, and overthinking is in tijara. It's a 24 hours job. Take Nuh alayhi salam. Look at the beginning of Surah Nuh. Businessman. Allah tells him, go and warn your people. Look at the description. Look at the report that Nuh gives. Rabbi, inni da'awtu qawmi laylan wa nahara. Days and nights. I don't have one shift. I work double shifts. Days and nights. فلم يزدهم دعائي إلا فرارا وإني كلما دعوتهم لتغفر لهم جعلوا أصابعهم في آذانهم. They stop hearing. They stop listening. Does he stop? A businessman never gives up. A business fails, he opens another one. Another idea. Another branch. Some new marketing skills. Always, yeah, akhi, if I shut down my business, I'm gonna lose my house, my family, my everything. I got no way. So when they started putting the hands on the ears, he started using his fingers, his face expressions. So they covered the heads, the faces with the thobe. We don't even want to look at you. Was that it? No. I go in Publix. I go to the markets. I go to the chapels. دعوتهم جهارا. I go secretly to the homes. Maybe some of them are shy and they don't want to accept the message because of many different reasons, I don't know. ثم إني أعلنت لهم وأسررت لهم إسرارا. Ya Allah. This is how you become a da'iyah. You want Allah to use you to bring people to Islam? You want the greatest and the greatest pleasure in this life, لأن يهدي الله بك رجلا واحدا خير لك من حمر النعم. You have to have these skills. Honestly, you have to apply it in dunya and in akhirah. Take Yusuf. Yusuf alayhi salam. He lives the life that he lives in Egypt, and then he's sold as a slave. He goes to the house of Zulaykha and Al-Aziz. What happens in the house of Zulaykha stays in the house of Zulaykha, and then he's thrown in the prison. I would assume that when he's in the prison, he's just stressed. I take a break. Halas, just sleep, eat until Allah opens doors. But guess what happens? The moment he sees 2 boys coming inside the prison, the businessman begins. Yay. وَدَخَلَ مَعَهُ السِّجْنَ فَتَيَانِ. They gave him a dream and they asked him for interpretation. قال أحدهما إني أراني أعصر خمرا وقال الآخر إني أراني أحمل فوق رأسي خبزا تأكل الطير منه نبئنا بتأويله. Just give us the interpretation. They need something. I'm going to use that before give them what they need. First of all, I will give you what you eat before you receive it. Second of all, I have left the religion of those people who worship other gods. إني تركت ملة قوم لا يؤمنون بالله وهم بالآخرة هم كافرون. Hey, we didn't ask you about your deen. We asked you about the dreams. واتبعت ملة آبائي إبراهيم وإسحاق ويعقوب ما كان لنا. Ya akhi, just give us the dream. No. I'm going to use that as an opportunity. Prison, house, street, university, school, I don't care. I work 24/7. Whatever condition you put me at. I'm serving. I have a business with Allah. And then when he finished his da'wah, he gave the interpretation of the dream. And because he did what he did, one of those two men was the reason to bring him out of jail. Man sadaqa ma'allah, sadaqa Allahu ma'ah. You want to make business with Allah? Whew. Prophets. Not 2 or 3 or 5%. 100%. 700%, as I always say in fundraisers. But try to make business with Allah. Take Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as an example. When Rasulullah was expelled from Taif, أدميت قدماه وضرب رأسه بالحجارة. He was thrown with the stone. He was barely dragging his feet on the ground until he came to a bustan, to a garden, and he sat tired, exhausted, expelled. And he made his famous dua, اللهم إني أشكو إليك ضعف قوتي وقلة حيلتي وهوى. I expect him so weak. Just take some break. 2 people of Banu Tha'laba felt bad for him, and they sent their boy. He was a Christian, Addas. Addas was sent with bag of grapes to Rasulullah. He gave it to him. And Rasulullah had his servant. Who is his servant? Zayd ibn Haritha. So when Rasulullah took the grapes, he took them. Addas is sitting, and he said, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Addas said, Wallahi ma yaqulu hadha ahlu hadhihi al-bilad. The people of this village, of this area, they don't say this. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Rasulullah puts the grapes aside. Rasulullah forgets what happens to him in Taif, and he focuses on this business opportunity. And he asks him, وَمِنْ أَيِّ الْبِلَادِ أَنْتِ? From which village are you? Addas responds, see, he's building connection. Addas responds and he says, أَنَا مِنْ قَرْيَةِ نَيْنَوَى. I am from the village of Nainawa. Yoy. Rasulullah says, مِنْ قَرْيَةِ الرَّجُلِ الصَّالِحِ وَالنَّبِيِّ الصَّالِحِ يُونُسُ بْنُ مَتَّى. This is the village of the righteous man and the righteous prophet, Yunus ibn Matta. قال, أَوَ تَعْرِفُ يُونُس? Addas is sold. Halas. You know Yunus? قال نعم وإني أرسلت بما جاء به. And I'm carrying the same message of Yunus. Addas accepted Islam. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأن محمد رسول الله. This is why I say, when you're coming back from work and you're tired, when you're taking a break in your job, when you're just on chat with a friend, when you're in a coffee shop with someone, when you're just buying from a cashier and you say something that would catch the attention, the niceness, the kindness that you might show and would attract someone else, that's what a businessman does. Wallahi, when you go into Google reviews, and you go and see the reviews, especially for those restaurants, shops, brands that has 4.6, 4.9, 5 out of 5, you'd find most of the reviews is not about the brand. It's about the customer service. How he treated me. When I entered Taste of Yemen, oh, they hosted me, they pulled the chair and they gave me the appetizers and they were just so nice to me. I recommend everyone to visit them. That's what does. And the strongest way of marketing, a word of a mouth. A word of a mouth. This is why we come again. Protect your reputation. Reputation of Asad. Everyone says Asad. Why do you think the one and only disbeliever who was mentioned in the Quran, who was he? Abi Lahab. Tabbat yada Abi Lahabin wa tab. I always ask myself, why is that? Keep in mind, Abi Lahab did not participate in torturing Muslims and killing them. Nah. Abu Jahl should be mentioned by name. Maybe Ubay ibn Khalaf. Rasulullah said, this man just saved a VIP spot in hellfire next to Fir'aun and Haman. Why? Because Abu Lahab had one job to do. ruin the reputation of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He would go behind him and says, إني أعلمكم بهذا أنا عمه, I'm his uncle. هو من بني هاشم ونحن أعلمكم به. هو كذاب, هو كاهن, هو مجنون. يا أخي, just leave me alone. Leave. Everyone knows me as Sadiq al-Amin. Why would you ruin that? تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب. The response comes from Allah. Reputation, word of mouth. If you see an ad for a restaurant, a fantastic restaurant, they paid on that ad probably $2 million. But I told you, I just ate from it last week and I had food poison. Not just that. And my mother ate from it, she's now in the hospital. Would you go? But they have 5 out of 5 rating. You won't go. Even if you will go, you will not order what I ordered. You try something else. That's if you went. Why? Because the word of a mouth spreads out. The second one is business is a mindset. Third, hopefully we have some time before Salatul Isha, and that one is important. 80% of your success as a da'iyah, as a messenger, as a businessman, is connected to your emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence. Keep in mind, when you deal with people, you're dealing with heart and mind. You want to connect to them. And you want to sell your product for them. And one man cannot do the job. This is why you need people around you. And when you go back to the old days of da'wah, the beginning, you would find Rasulullah ﷺ is picking carefully the people who would initiate Islam. And the first man that Rasulullah hunts is Abu Bakr. Abu Bakr was just a business partner to Rasulullah. Okay? But he was very unique. Leave the fact that he is Khalifa to Rasulullah. Leave the fact that he is the most faithful man. Put all of that aside. Abu Bakr at the times of Mecca كان أعلم الناس بأنساب قريش. The most knowledgeable man upon the tribes and the families of Quraysh. Secondly, he's not a controversial person. He's from Bani Umayyah, and Bani Umayyah is always in the middle. From Bani Taym, sorry. Bani Taym, they have no wars, no grudges against any tribe. So he's a best person to use right here. And most importantly, كان له يد عند أهل قريش. When they dumped on Rasulullah ﷺ and they attacked him and they hit him and they almost killing him, Abu Bakr jumped in between. He squeezed himself and they pushed him all the way and he said, أتقتلون رجلا أن يقول ربي الله? Would you kill a man who said ربي الله? قالوا يا أبا بكر تنحى عنا فإن لك يدا عندنا. Just leave us alone. You did us a favor. We owe you. So please step out of this. قال والله ما أتنحى فضربوه أغمي عليه. And the first thing he said when he woke up, ما فعل رسول الله. What did Rasulullah do? صلى الله عليه وسلم. You want to have along with you in your team, when you're building the team, when you're choosing your partners, you want a team that reaches out to everyone. Who's not sketchy, controversial. And Abu Bakr was that person. Not just that. When you choose those, when a customer comes and buy a phone from you, this customer should not leave the door without building a connection with him. When you invite someone to Islam, I don't want you, John. I don't want you, Mark. But I want all your family to come together. Come to me. I'm not hunting one person. I want your tribe. I want your village. How can I use him? Abu Bakr by himself, he brought 6 of the granted people of Jannah to Islam. Talha, Uthman, AbdulRahman ibn Auf, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, and who else? Who else? No, لا من 10 مبشرين في الجنة يا أخي. Nah, الزبير. الزبير is the husband of his daughter. رضي الله عنه وأرضاه. يا أخي, these are the customers that I want. And when he's a customer, hey Abu Bakr, you're not running away. You have to bring me 6 like you. And those 6 were game changers. And immediately, when Rasulullah ﷺ, someone comes to Islam, he uses him, puts him right in the function. Tufayl al-Dawsi accepts Islam. Rasulullah sends him back. Go and invite your people and bring them to me. Tufayl, go, does the job, but no one comes and accepts him. He comes and complains to Rasulullah, Ya Rasulullah, inna dawsan kadhabuni. The tribe of Daws denied my message. Ud'u alayhim. Make a dua that Allah vanish, destroy them. قال اللهم اهد دوسا وأتني بهم. Oh Allah, guide the tribe of Daws and bring them to me. ارجع إليهم. Go back to them. Tufayl goes. It was just a matter of time. And the whole tribe of Daws comes back. Abu Dharr al-Ghafari, that wanted to have such a strong, he wanted to be partner with Rasulullah ﷺ and takes the khilafah. يا رسول الله, use me, استخدمني. فقال له يا أبا ذر إنك رجل ضعيف وإنها أمانة خزي وندامة إلا على من أخذها بحقها. You cannot function in Mecca, okay? Because they hit him. The people of Quraysh are crazy. That's the worst marketplace you can market something. You can sell anything. This is why Rasulullah left that land and went marketing there. Mus'ab ibn Umair, Rasulullah sent him an ambassador to Medina. Go and spread it. Prepare the land for me. All these are customers to Islam. And Rasulullah, as a business owner of Islam, he's selling it to them. Abu Dharr, when they were hitting him, to kill him, Abu Sufyan pushed them all away. Abu Sufyan is a businessman, and he only cares about his business. فقال يا أهل قريش أتقتلون رجلا من غفار وتجارتكم من غفار وناقتكم إلى غفار. Do you kill someone from the tribe of Ghafar and your tijara goes by Ghafar to Arlum? Your camels, your traveling goes by. Are you crazy? You want to shut down my business? Leave him alive. Abu Dharr goes back to his tribe and bring the tribe of Ghafar all to Islam. If you track every Sahabi that came to Islam, wallahi, go in depth and study the science of men, ilm al-rijal, and you would find every single customer of Rasulullah ﷺ was bringing at least 1 or 2 or 3 or tens of customers with him. And those are the ones who transferred Islam to us. But unfortunately, we are passive customers. We don't care much about delivering and conveying. There's a beautiful book. I would like to invite you to read it. It's written by Joe Gerard. The book's title, How to Sell Anything to Anyone. Truly, when you read that book, wallahi, as if you're reading the seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This man is probably Christian or atheist. He knows nothing about Islam. Joe Gerard, How to Sell Anything to Anyone. He was the most successful seller in the history of mankind. I don't think I've passed. If you know someone better than him, this man used to sell 17 to 18 cars every single day. Why? And how? Every customer comes to him, uses him as a partner, uses him as a marketplace. When you buy a car from me, you're not going out of the store. You have to bring me 5 like you. Imagine you're dealing with every single one with the same strategy. How much you will be selling? And this book gives you the strategies how to build connection, emotional intelligence with people. And when you do that, Dawah will take different dimension. Different dimension. Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah. This is why you should not be selling products. You should be selling people. You don't sell an iPhone. But I sold it to AbdulRahman. AbdulRahman will make sure that his wife and his kids and his father and his mother buys an iPhone. That's why I sold 5 iPhones. I practically bought AbdulRahman and sold a cheap piece of iPhone. This is how you practice business in your da'wah. Last but not least, 50% of the success in business is focusing on one product. You know, the sketchiest restaurants are the ones you go inside and you find burgers and pizzas and fatira and rice and biryani and mandi and kapsa and fried chicken and barbecue chicken, masala chicken, hakka chicken, sukka chicken, kuluk chicken. Ya akhi, wow. You got me lost. You know what? I don't order. Wallah, you get lost. Everyone doesn't know what to order. Let's just go and eat whatever. Huh? But when you focus on one product and you perfect it, this is how you hunt your customers. And look at all the successful organizations around you. You would find them following that strategy. They take one line, one production line, and they perfect it. So that when you are approaching someone, you want to track one thing. And the product that you have, alhamdulillah, by Allah, it's a closed package, that you can convey it in a beautiful way and focus on one thing that would attract your customers. I would conclude with that story that happened in the Truce of Hudaybiyah. And by the way, this story connects the last and the emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence and focusing on one product. In Surah Al-Hudaybiyah, Rasulullah was blocked. He was not allowed to enter Mecca. He sends Uthman ibn Affan to do some negotiations. They keep Uthman ibn Affan. And Quraysh starts sending messengers, ambassadors, to finish off the negotiations with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. First of all, they send a man called Hulays ibn Alqamah al-Kanani. Hulays, the moment Rasulullah saw him from a distance, look, Rasulullah wants to convince this man. He has one goal, to go into Mecca and perform Umrah. So when this man comes, I need to convince him that we are just going to perform Umrah and go back. فقال لأهل أصحابه إن هذا من المتألهين فأطلقوا هديكم. This man respects and appreciates gods. So send out the sheep. When he sees the sheep, halas, message is sent. Hulays comes closer to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's camp and he sees from a distance the sheep. He doesn't even continue. He goes back to Quraysh. Message is sent, delivered, sold. قال يا قريش أتمنعون قوما أتوا ليحجوا البيت الحرام أما والله إن منعتموهم لنحاربنكم في كنانة. Wallahi, if you fight Muhammad today, the tribe of Kinana will be fighting you. قالوا يا حليس كف عنا حتى نرتضي لأنفسنا ما نرضى له. Hulays, just stay aside. We sent you for something and you came back with something else. We sent you to push Muhammad away. You're coming to tell us, allow him? Rasulullah is intelligent. They send another man, Urwa ibn Mas'ud al-Thaqafi. Urwa ibn Mas'ud is رجل من ثقيف, respectful man. This man has seen with his eyes the kings of Persia and Roma. So when he came from a distance, Rasulullah ﷺ ordered his Sahaba to surround him and do as he does. Look at that. Imagine yourself in the shoes of Urwa. As Urwa is approaching, no one is giving him any attention. Rasulullah is making wudu and Sahaba is picking up the left overs of his wudu and making wudu with it. حتى إذا تنخم نخامة, when he brings out the boogers out of his nose, Sahaba would pick it up and they would wipe it over the face and the bodies. They would follow him in blindly. Urwa ibn Mas'ud comes and sits down. He is sold. By the way, Hulays, Urwa, and Suhail, the third that will be sent, 3 of them accepted Islam after this incident. 3 of them, radiyallahu anhum. Urwa sits with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he asks, "Ma khabaruka ya Muhammad? Ama turidu, ama tarji'u ila qawmik?" And he started picking up the beard of Rasulullah. Irji' ila qawmik. It's a way of humiliating him. Rasulullah puts next to him a man who is connected and related to Urwa ibn Mas'ud. Anyone knows? Al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah al-Thaqafi, his cousin. And every time Urwa puts a hand on Rasulullah's beard, Al-Mughira with his sword, he puts it down. Kuffa yadaka an lihyati Rasulillah. Put your hand down. Be a good boy. Urwa puts it back. Al-Mughira with his sword. Kuffa yadaka an Rasulillahi wa illa qata'tuha. Urwa stepped back. And he went back to Quraysh and he told them, Wallahi ya ahla Quraysh. لقد دخلت على الملوك ملوك كسرى وقيصر فلم أرى أحدا يعظم ملكه كتعظيم أصحاب محمد لمحمد. Wallahi, I've seen the kings of Rome and Persia and I did not see in my life someone glorifies Muhammad, a king like the companions of Muhammad. خلوا بينه وبين الكعبة. Allow him to go inside. Every time they send someone to push them back, they come back with an advice. Allow him to go back and perform Umrah. The last card that was sent is Suhail ibn Amr. And when Suhail ibn Amr was sent to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Rasulullah saw him from a distance. And he said, هذا سهيل سهل الله عليكم. Suhail comes and Allah will bring ease on his hands. And then he sits down and he writes the agreement that we all know about the truce of Hudaybiyah. The Muslims will be sent back and they will come back the next year. Honestly, this is one of the al-mabahith, research areas that I've spent good times studying it in the Quran and the Sunnah. And it's super, super interesting. How you can connect your success of dunya to your success of akhirah. And من كان يريد ثواب الدنيا فعند الله ثواب الدنيا والآخرة. If you follow صراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم والله it will take you to a different dimension. Al-Mabhath is a long research that has 10 skills of a businessman that Rasulullah used in his da'wah. And perhaps, inshallah, we will share it over the coming days as I stay with you. But, إلى هنا نقف بإذن الله, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the tawfiq and the success to follow the straight path of صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم, to use us as He used them, to give us the talents and the skills and the business manners as He gave it to His prophets and His messengers, peace be upon them. بارك الله لي ولكم وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Not sure if you have any questions to ask. Please raise your hands. If not, yes, please. And if you may raise your voice, please. If you may raise your voice so we can all hear you.
You mentioned earlier about if there's any businessman. So I know some of them here. We are here.
أهلا وسهلا.
Yeah, self-employed businessmen.
Yes.
Like taxi drivers or Uber drivers and so forth. There is no, like we do get to meet a lot of non-Muslims. That's our job.
Okay.
To drive them back and forth to the airport.
Yeah.
Then we drop some, we charge.
Yeah.
So I see great potential of what to make da'wah. The only challenge we have is one. Sometimes you need to know which one to give da'wah to because you don't want to be reported.
Absolutely.
And then the next day is
This guy's ready to lose his job. May Allah protect you, brother. Yes.
so I don't know what you have to say about that.
That's prospecting in sales.
Prospecting in sales. Well, this is where you hit the opportunity, the right opportunity to hunt people down. And again, when you say self-employed are like businessmen, I would partially disagree, because Uber drivers, and I've been an Uber driver, Skip the Dish, DoorDash, those who work in restaurants, they work for a company and they wait for a paycheck. When I say a businessman, a man who wakes up every day and there's a risk that he might lose his job, lose his business, you have to put something forward. When I say business, there is investment. You buy products and you rent an area, you hire employees, and then you put some money in marketing. And then the last one who receives the profit is you. You pay the bills, you pay the rent, you pay the salaries, and probably you get nothing at the end of the month. That's what I mean by a business. And again, you don't have to be a business. I'm just saying have your share, get your hand dirty. And at the end of the path, being a business increases your connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, you can still apply those skills when you're a cashier in Walmart, when you're an engineer on the site, when you are practicing your nursing in the hospital, when you're doing any form of employment, you can apply those business skills. It's not like if you're not business, don't be a da'iyah. But at least have the mindset of a business. And of course, part of that is to expect and understand whom you're going da'wah for, whom you're giving da'wah for. Right? Subhanallah. And Rasulullah had this intelligence. When he looks at people and see where they're coming from. If I give da'wah to this man, and then when you give da'wah, what do you say? You can't speak to a gay, hey, you're going to hellfire straight up. You know, if you come to my Muslim country, we will throw you from a mountain. This is what happens to you. You better repent to Allah. Good luck. He will report you. For sure. Again, what you say, how you say it, when you say it, where you say it, all of those come together and perform the fabulous message of Islam. And that's called wisdom. Wisdom هو موضع الشيء في موضعه. وضع الشيء في موضعه. To put things where it should be. تفضل يا أخي.
أنا حأسأل بالعربي.
تفضل.
الصراط الذين أنعمت عليهم.
نعم.
النزلة دي كان فيها جزء من أهم مكونات أنهم الناس كانوا يطمئنون إلى الله في الرزق يعني.
Say it again.
كانوا يطمئنون إلى الله في الرزق.
نعم.
لماذا إنه هذا الأمر معدوم هذه الآية؟
Allah. Beautiful. He brought a different dimension of صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. Allah, brothers, we can sit for the whole night just diving with these verses. Quran is precious. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم, our brother says that one of the description to those people that they have طمأنينة. They never worry about the rizq of tomorrow. And again, businessmen, they don't worry a lot. They are risk takers. Risk takers. There's a loss, I will take it. And that forms the طمأنينة. When you come to a perfection and understanding that all the rizq in the hands of Allah, what can ever shake you? فهذه الطمأنينة معدومة اليوم. It doesn't exist today because you rely on other reasons. You're relying on your connections, on your degrees, in your experience, on many other factors that will shake your yaqeen ultimately. And that did shake all of our yaqeen at the times of COVID. when all business is shut down, but only those who was on the path of الذين أنعمت عليهم, it would never shake. فطمأنينة comes from a trust and yaqeen. And in order to build that, you have to follow the path. Take the steps, step by step, in order to find your طمأنينة with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فانعدامها من انعدام الإيمان في قلوب العباد يا أخي. والله تعالى أجل وأعلم. Yes.
One of my non-Muslim friends, he mentioned once, if you are so much focused on tawakkul, why do you study so much? And I basically asked him that there's a concept of tying the camel and then come to tawakkul. And Allah shows me different ways of tying the camel every day. That's why I study tying the camel.
Mm-hmm.
So if the same thing were asked to you, how would you answer it?
I would say, I would never tie the camel unless Allah ordered me to tie the camel. So if Allah didn't order me to go to school and study and graduate and build my resume, apply for jobs, save some money, build a business, open it up, you're not doing those because it's asbab. You're doing that because Allah ordered you to do that. Allah said in the Quran that you're reciting, and He ordered the prophets, امشوا في مناكبها وكلوا من رزقه. علم أن فيكم علم أن في سورة المزمل فاقرأوا ما تيسر من القرآن. علم أن لن تحصوه فتاب عليكم. لا. Come back. علم أن فيكم مرضى وآخرون يضربون في الأرض يبتغون من فضل الله وآخرون. Allah knows that among you some people are busy seeking rizq. Go. إذا قضيت الصلاة. This is why the connection between asbab and tawakkul lies in Surah Al-Jumu'ah. إذا قضيت الصلاة. Go out. لا يا أخي, I want to sit down. Umar ibn Al-Khattab used with his cane to come and kick out the people who stay in the masjid 24/7, and he would tell them, أما علمتم أن السماء لا تمطر ذهبا ولا فضة? Didn't you know that sky does not rain gold and silver? Go out and seek rizq. So we're not going and making all these reasons because we lack tawakkul. Actually, that's the evidence of tawakkul. خذ بالأسباب كأنها كل شيء وتوكل على الله كأنها ليست بشيء. You do your work, your homework, as if it's everything, but you make tawakkul as if it's nothing. Allahu Akbar. Jameel. أحسنتم. Any other add, comment or question? طيب. جزاكم الله خير. I really appreciate the attentive and active listening and the participations and comments of our brothers. أسأل الله أن ينفعنا بقرآنه العظيم وأن يجعل القرآن العظيم ربيع قلوبنا وجلاء همومنا وأحزاننا. اللهم علمنا منه ما جهلنا وذكرنا منه ما نسينا وارزقنا تلاوته آناء الليل وأطراف النهار على الوجه الذي يرضيك عنا. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.